After an attrition-plagued event at Mount Panorama, we find ourselves this afternoon in the land of maple leaves and moose. From Canadian Motorsports Park, it's round 6 of the Apex Online Racing's Formula Renault 2.0 Season 11 Championship. And all the doubleheader action that includes a 40-minute feature followed by a 25-minute sprint can be seen live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. Joe Pete joins yours truly, Bill Soups on, to bring you our bird's eye view. Sean Ambrose has director duties, armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. Joe, I'm sure the drivers are pleased to leave Bathurst behind them, but coming to this place brings its own set of challenges. Tell us about today's racetrack.
Ooh, and the challenges will certainly take its toll on the field. Maybe not as bad as Bathurst did, but I think the one phrase that describes this track best is old school. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or Mosport as it's colloquially known, hasn't changed its layout since the 60s, when the only thing done to it was modifying the hairpin from a single turn to a double apexer. It's all fast sweepers and monster elevation changes. There's really not that many corners to speak of in the first place. There's only 10 of them across its brief 2.5 miles. As you'd expect, that'll mean passing will be difficult today. The most common place will be on the way up the Andretti Straight using the draft. Other than that, you're going to have to bank on mistakes from your opponents and try to shove your way through the door. But like I said a little bit ago, you can't be too foolhardy because attrition tends to be high at this track. It certainly won't help that the short lap times will mean the leaders will catch the tail end of the field very quickly. Before that happens, though, let's get a look at what it's like with a clear track ahead of you and hop on board the GSRC Lap Guide.
Sport. Turn 1 is going to be very fast with a pretty short run up to it. That means it won't be often that you see passes into here, although it's not impossible. Switch sides coming off and then set up for the blind entry into Clayton. This is one of the scariest, most difficult corners in racing, and the best way through it is to try to double apex it. Once again, you won't have much time before you need to get the car across the track and whoa it up for Quebec. Despite opening up on the exit, you won't want to steer into the apex too early through here. We're now coming up to the plunge through turn 4, which is easily flat out and leads into the braking for Moss. Brave and eager drivers might attempt to pass into here, but the compression at the bottom makes it a surprisingly short braking zone for this hairpin. There's 2 apexes to hit, and ideally you want to set yourself up with a good run out of the second half, because now you're dumped on the Andretti Straight. Even though it's not fully straight and kind of weaves as it climbs uphill, you won't be lifting all the way until you reach the S's. Naturally, expect to see some draft battles take place as drivers try to jockey for position into turn 8. Most people will instinctively defend the inside, but if you're able to hold it around the outside of this fast sweeper, you can be rewarded with the inside line into 9. It isn't easy to execute, but you'll look pretty savvy when you manage it. Finally, we'll change direction one last time through White's Corner, where you don't want to take too much of the inside curve. Hopefully, you've now finished a lap around Mosport.
And that is how it's done. All right, Joe, when it comes to best of days honors, we're used to seeing scores in the mid to high 40s. I think the relatively low totals is a good indication of just how tough Bathurst was. Who came out on top?
When it's not only just the low totals, but how close they all are. I mean, look at that. You've got 1 point between Morris and Reed. Morris coming out because he got a win in the sprint and a pretty decent finish in the first one there with the 6th place. Reed's 2nd place in the first really brought him up, but again, he struggled in the second race, only managing 7th, excuse me. Now, Rene Osterkamp, here's what's interesting. A win in the first one obviously brings him onto the top 5, but because he DNF'd, he did not score in that second race. Valtteri Alander, 3rd and 10th, both relatively low for being in the top 5 there, and then 4th and 8th for Gatormeyer. They're down with 31 points. It was a mess on that track afterwards. It's a good thing this is all virtual, Bill, because, well, nobody had any repair bills, but I think there was some people licking some wounds, at least.
Congratulations to Dominic Gatormeyer. That was actually his very first best today, making the overlay there. So congratulations to him. So let's see how that works out when we look at the points totals. Now, Simon and Poindexter, the GSCC stat boys, have been ironing their spreadsheets to bring you these points totals that start to account for dropped events. Now, as seen by the droplets above the point totals there, these numbers allow for one of the 3 available drops. So with 5 races in the books, these numbers are basically the driver's best 4 results. 2-time champion Rene Oosterkamp for SimRC gets to drop his opening round no-show. He's up on top. Coming off best today honors, Lubomir Morris for Positive SimRacing Green stays within striking distance of the lead, moving up a spot. Phil Reed had a good Bathurst experience and jumps 2 spots for AOR Blue. Drop weeks are not going to help Reed as he's forced to drop 15 points. He's really consistent. Early point leader Stefan Herman falls to 4th for SimRC Retro, and he's back. Rookie Valtteri Alander for Glacier Racing rounds out the overlay. Conspicuous by his absence is defending champion Patrick Kessler. More on that as we look now at the team standings. These numbers also take into account 1 drop event. Kessler struggles as SimRC only has 31 points up on the guys who are chasing him. This commentator has been preaching about the strength of Positive SimRacing Green, and sure enough, Alexei Sorokin and Lubomir Morris are within shouting distance of the lead. Phil Reed and Kerry Nolden have been showing signs of life lately for AOR Blue. The German duet of Stefan Herman and Simon Grossman have SimRC Retro falling down into 4th. And fine, Valtteri Alander, a partner in Glacier Racing, would be a threat to win the whole thing's hard to do it by yourself. Okay, those are the driver and team standings. We've also talked about the track. So now let's go ahead and look at the series details.
Absolutely. We are in round 6. This is now halfway through. And there's those 3 drops that Bill mentioned. We've only included one of them. We'll include more as the season goes on. Now, today is a double header, and we'll talk more in depth about this specific race in just a second. The open setups, that's going to be a big part of this, Bill. They're going to be cranking up the downforce, but anybody who can maybe take that little bit away could have a bit of an advantage. And the one place where you can pass, I talked about it, up the Andretti straight. Straight line speed could help you if you can keep it fast around the rest of the track. Now, there are no fast repairs. We saw that come into play over at Bathurst. It's going to come into play again here, Bill, because there's just barriers close around the entire track. There's very few big, wide runoffs that you have at any spot. This race specifically, this first one is called the feature, and that is because it is the longer of the 2 at 40 minutes. The grid is set by their qualifying times, and of course they have a single pit stop in this race. That'll be the only pit stop during this whole weekend. The incident cap set at 15. You can get offs in a few places. I wouldn't expect them to really rack up too much around here, and the drivers managing to survive to the checkered flag, if I'm honest. The points for a win at 32 means that it's a lot more than what you get for a win in the sprint race, which is the next one. And it's all the way down to 1 point for 20th position. Now, the finish in this also is very important because it affects the sprint race. They will be regrid according to the top 20 reversed if you finish within 2 laps down.
Okay, and you know, Joe mentioned about the pit stops, and we're fortunate to have a third member on our broadcast team, Stefan Slocker. He's down in pit lane right now. Stefan, talk a little bit about Mosport and getting on and off pit lane.
Well, Mosport itself, the pit entry is quite straightforward. You have a left turn going into it. You can actually take quite a lot of speed through that second last turn on this racetrack and carry yourself into the pit lane. Even that right-hander, even though it's very tight, you can carry a lot more speed through it than you actually think. The real problem here is the pit exit. It's very tight and very bumpy, so be careful how you set your car up, because if you haven't set it up right, you're gonna run aground and maybe even run into a wall.
Practice is done, qualifying going on right now. At the top of the chart currently is Luke Barton. Barton has shown speed this season, but it really doesn't have the finishing results to go along with that.
It's a very tight battle for that pole. It's currently 0.08 of a second separating. Oh, and as I say that, we've got a new pole sitter, Gio Cortese, new guy coming in and showing him how it's done.
Made his debut. Last race was very impressive. Again, didn't get the results he would have hoped for. But yeah, he's going to be up there ahead of Bart now, moving Kerry Nolden down to third.
Bill, it is still tight. It is now 2 1,000ths between first and second place, which means the top 3 are separated by 1/100th of a second, Bill. And I think that's because there's so few places to make a difference around this circuit. There's actually a lot of corners where you don't lift. You're just staying flat out through it. Or if you do, it's a little stab of the brakes, and then you're getting right back onto the thing. Like I said, they've cranked the, as Phil Reed goes to the top, they've cranked the downforce up on these cars, and they're trying to take every bit of advantage they can around the circuit.
Yeah, Cortese's stay at the top was short-lived as he not only falls out of the top spot, but he goes down into third as Matty Cipolla moves up into second.
Cortese's coming back around. Let's see if he can get a faster one than that 12.9. This is only his second lap. And as he crosses, it does go faster, and it's fast enough for pole. Whew. It's blow for blow here, Bill.
It really is. Luke Barton, who was feeling good on the poles, now down to fourth. How about this? Your points leader, Rene Oosterkamp, sitting down in seventh. He's got some work to do unless he can get himself a good qualifying time. There's Lubomir Morris, the man who's chasing Oosterkamp in the points. Coming around, let's see what he gets.
12.9 is fastest, and the next one through, not any faster.
In fact, Summers just shot up to second. Charlie Summers now. Charlie was happy with this time.
Kerry Nolden crosses the line, and it looks like he does not count this one, unfortunately. Now, one thing to remember is they only get 3 laps around here. Anybody we see doing more than 3 laps, Bill, will not be able to put any more times in. And actually, Cortese, well, he was on his final lap, but he's going to abandon it. Wow.
Daniel Morris is coming out trying to put in a few. He's going to wait till the very end to get those times in.
Another interesting note about Oosterkamp, his teammate's not here. Our current champion, Kessler, hasn't even shown, Bill.
Yeah. Of course, there are 3 drop races, but you want to save a little bit of those. So he wasn't noticed. We talked about it in the points. He wasn't on the top 5, and that's not only going to hurt Kessler's chances for the championship, but it hurts SimRC's team championship as well, as the team of Positive Sim Racing Green with Lubomir Morris, who's sitting in 7th, and Sorokin down in 10th.
This is Nolden. He's already finished his 3 laps, so at this point he's just getting himself some more practice. I think the only drivers to get laps is Morris. Let's see, is Edwards. Edwards got his in, and that's it, essentially. Daniel Morris is the only one we're waiting on to see where he puts himself. He sits in 22nd right now, Bill.
Joe, what about the curbing here? We always like to talk about that because these fragile French race cars
far away.
Okay.
The curbing is, since it's October, the curbing is your Michael Myers, your Freddy Krueger. So just run away as fast as you can, because I mean, there's a few places like here in turn 1 that we see Morris. You can take those, but in other places, especially in corners like Moss and in White's corner, they're very tall curbs. You don't want to try and clatter those, because it's not only going to unsettle the car and cause you to spin, but even if you keep it together, you lose tons of time.
Seth and I would assume our best passing zone out of Moss, that long back straight down into 8.
Yes, but you can also overtake into the last turn if you get a good run out of the second last turn, or into the Moss hairpin. You can also overtake there. And I have to say here, Joe, because you said you have to stay away, it helps you to put in a better lap time if you actually use the curbs to your advantage. Because with the camber you're running, you put the inside tires onto the curb, onto the tall curb, and actually it's going to help you to use even more of your tire and therefore have better grip throughout the turn.
You must be using a very different setup than I was, because my experience, as soon as you clip them, the car is just going around. And maybe the leaders have sussed out what you have. We'll have to see it. In the meantime, looks like qualifying's finished.
And with that, and with the standing start, let's go ahead and bring up the grid, and we'll get to it right now. It is the rookie, Gio Cortese, on the pole. He's going to be inside of Charlie Summers, Phil Reed, and Matty Sipla. Sipla's fast. Let's see if he gets the results. Make up row 2. Luke Barton and Kerry Nolden in row 3. Spots 7 and 8, Lubomir Morris and Alain Tessier. And then our two-time champion, Rene Osterkamp, in 9th. He's going to be flanked by Alexei Soroika. Joe?
Sorry, Dove will be starting in 11th with Jerry Mojak in 12th. Then it's Leonard Sherry starting P13. After that, it'll be Stefan Herman. And in the row behind them, Ali Hay starts 15th and Christopher Rigby in 16th. Tom Van Hoyman starts P17, Scott Newton in 18th, Luca Verani 19th, and 20th, it's David Boudelaar.
21st is the Rolling Thunder, Evan Emre. Daniel Morris is outside of him in the double duck position. David Santana and Tim McKesey in the 24th position. Stuart Milne is going to be inside of Thomas Edward. 27th goes to Giovanni Saledo. He's going to be flanked by Josh Ladd. Last two drivers, now these final 3, Josh Ladd, Nick Thisson, and Connor Ryan did not put in qualifying times. They go 28th, 29th, and 30th.
And I can report that Thyssen will not be racing. He said in the practice that he didn't feel confident enough in the car and he didn't want to be a risk to anybody else's race. So he's decided to sit out.
Well, I'm sorry he's not racing, but I applaud the sportsmanship there to not jeopardize other people's event. Okay, Gio Cortese, the rookie. He's come on last round. He was impressive. Let's see what he can do now. He's got nobody in front of him. Charlie Summers, the veteran, sitting there in 2nd position. Reed and Sipla, boy, all the way back to Osterkamp, who's way back. My goodness, in 9th spot. He's got some work cut out for him today. Round number 6. The AOR Formula Renault 2.0 Season 11 Championship. It's a doubleheader. We got the 40-minute feature on board right now with 1 pit stop. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. You know what to do. Gather up the chickens, take cover around the cows. The horses are out of the barn. It's a pretty good run from Cortese. He gets into the first corner. Look down inside, though. That's Phil Reed with a great jump off of the grid. He takes over 2nd. Summers falls back to 3rd. They are coming in behind. Moving up into 4th is Luke Barton. Sipala trying to fend off 2 drivers, Morris and Nolden, coming for his 5th position.
We see a little bit of an off in the background, but otherwise I don't see much drama in the way through the field. You can see just how easy it is to get through some of these corners flat out with how close they're staying to one another.
The car that was off was indeed Scott Newton as he got into the grass. Joe, there's a lot of runoff area here, but it's all slick grass, and Newton put it in the wall. Meanwhile, Reed takes over the lead.
We've got a huge incident coming out of Moss. It looks like Rigby involved with that, Boudelaar, Daniel Morris, and I think David Santana as well.
All that going on behind. Reed is trying to hold off. Cortese does not give him the line. Boy, they almost touch. Cortese fights back as they work through now the S's.
Woof. And that's because it's mostly flat out through that corner 8 at the end of the stretch. Here goes Reed for another one, Bill.
Gets a great run off of White's, and now he has a chance into the first corner. Gets that done. They continue the battle up front. Summers watching on.
Reed is trying his heart out, but look at this. It's biting him. Summers going to have a chance. He's going to be on the outside of Quebec. He's brave on the brakes. Wow, that paid off really well.
They finally get that sorted out. Phil Reed drops back into 3rd. Barton looking at him. Morris on the inside in that blue and yellow machine, trying to hold off 5th position. Kerry Nolden. Sipala is there too. He's fallen back a few spots.
Almost looking Talladega-esque. It's just nobody can get away from one another because there's so few hard braking zones to try and separate who's faster. And I think we're going to get another pass for the lead.
This train goes all the way back to 13th position. Sure enough, there is the pass for the lead. Cortese taking the defensive line. Summers able to get down into the apex. Charlie Summers, the leader.
Now, the real question is who's going to be able to break away? That'll make the difference. If you can get away from the draft, you could potentially have an opportunity to run your own race. But for here, I think it's going to be more strategic as it looks like Summers with that draft set the fastest lap.
So, It's Summers, Cortese, Reed, Barden, and Morris now up into the top. Oh, going off. He's in the wall.
Oh, bad start for Phil Reed. Any sort of damage is going to really hurt you as well. And I think he did clip the wall.
He was racing in third position. The car just got on the grass. There was no coming back once you get on the green stuff.
Yeah, it's incredibly slippery, and it's downhill there. So it's hard to stop the car. I've seen some cars over the years try and pull it back, but it's more if you gradually bleed into there and you see it coming. But if you spear off, yeah, good luck.
So with Reed out of the picture now, that moves Barden up into the podium position. Oh no, and getting loose is Lubomir Morris. Right as we speak. And he takes a tow.
Oh.
Car number 66.
Yep, that is probably going to be his day done. I saw a lot of drivers having this problem, and this is exactly why I was at odds with Stefan there on Moss Corner, why you don't want to take that curb. Because once we get him up on the replay, you'll see he catches the inside of it. That just lifts the rear enough right when you're plowing that right foot down. And, well, I mean, that's just going to send it around almost no matter what you do.
So we lose Reed and we lose Morris, both cars. There it is.
Yep. Just car was going towards the wall, and he could not save that thing.
Up front, Summers still under attack from Cortese. Now, Cortese made a move into Moss, which is going to give him a horrible drive off of Moss. This is going to open the door for Barden. Barden gets back and behind, gets a little bit of a tow. Cortese going to defend the inside. Barden trying to pin him down. Oh, Luke, you got to give him a little more room.
He's backing off. He's going to have to work the hard way around, but we've seen that works. He's not brave enough to try it. I thought that maybe this would open it up for Charlie Summers, but I guess Cortese even got a little bit of that draft, so he's keeping them honest, but they are breaking away from the cars behind.
The train that was once really long has broken up now. The second train starts with 7th position. Jiri Mojak, he's being chased by Alain Tessier. Alexei Sorokin, that is Lubomir Morris's teammate, back in 9th position. Stefan Herman, Sarah Dove in 11th, hanging on to the back of that train.
Yeah, and this is legit. This is where Sarah started. So she's not just picking up positions off of attrition here. She's staying with the group on pace, and I'm hoping that maybe she can get something done as a few more of these drivers fall off. We've already seen a few make mistakes. I mentioned it before. Attrition can be your friend around here if you just keep the car whole.
We do have a few drivers that have made stops. Let's go ahead and look at this pass being right here being made. This is for 10th position going. They're fighting. 9th, actually, Sorokin on the outside, Stefan Herman on the inside. Oh, look at the huge hole punch for Sarah Dove. Does Sarah want to get part of this as well?
She's got nowhere to go. No. Stay back there, Sarah.
Herman is going to go ahead and get into 9th position around Sorokin. That pass has made Dove back there watching it happen.
Yeah, if you try to go 3 wide into turn 8 into the S's, that's a recipe for disaster. She made the smart choice there. She's going to get better opportunities when she gets a draft on one of them, especially if they keep fighting like this. She probably wants to do it soon, though, because they are dropping off of Alain Tessier.
Stefan, I know that you've seen a lot of drivers come down to pit lane, but I think none of them are really for scheduled pit stops. They're all just for damage, don't you think?
I'm not sure about Sherry. He might have forgotten to put on the race fuel for his car, but apart from him, everyone else came in because of damage.
Don't forget, one of the rules of this series is that they are allowed a full fuel tank, so they just have to come in for tires, essentially. They are forced to come in for tires. So they can fill it as much as they want, which means they can stop on lap 1. Everyone should be able to get to the end.
Cortese just got around Barden. Cortese back up into 2nd position. Look at this battle back here, farther back in the track. This is 18th. This is Gianni Soletto being chased by Tim Metzke. David Santana watching on.
He's going to try the outside. He's going to be brave, but the car can sometime wash out. Look at that, though. Gets it done before they even have to brake for 9.
Oh, I thought he almost lost it there. Little Betsky got loose.
Taking a glance at Tessier. He's now trying to get onto the back of Jiri Mojak. This is a battle for 7th place. They're losing touch on Rene Oosterkamp. And once you start to lose touch with Oosterkamp, that's you've lost hope of catching him, honestly.
in fact, interesting enough, if you look at that battle between Mojak and Tessier,
oh, something happened to Summers. Sorry to interrupt. Summers has slipped
right
down
in Moss. Going through Moss, boy, he doesn't hit the wall, but he has a horrible run through that corner. Does a good job of not going on the wall, but he loses a ton of position. He falls out of the lead.
What happens is you got a great temptation you see right there to break later and later with the compression down into Moss Corner. He broke a little too late. The car understeered off. And once you hit that gravel and that little short straight between the two apexes, you can't bring it back to the apex.
And as we come back live, Barden was just able to make a pass for the lead. And Charlie Summers coming in. I'll bet you he picked up some damage going off on the grass. Wouldn't you think, Stefan?
Yes, indeed. He got damage on as he pulls onto his spot perfect onto the standoffs. And yeah, it's just like that. You go on damage, and he is fortunate it was just before the pit entry, so he can't just go in and change his tires.
So what's happened is Barden's up in front, Cortese now in second. That brings Nolan into the podium position. Summers stopped. Boy, he's been in there for about 13 seconds. We'll keep an eye on him. We'll see how that fares out. Now, what has happened, though, with all the fighting going on between the guys in front, Oosterkamp is now in 5th and can maybe smell a little bit of Sipola here. Maybe he can get into the draft and get himself back into the mix.
Yeah, but right now Sipola is right underneath Kerry Nolden, so he's got as much draft as he could want. The swapping the coin here on getting the draft, though, because the wing is so cranked up, Bill, the downside is with these being fast corners, if you ride too closely to the car behind, a lot of times you can start to lose grip in the tires mid-corner, and you'll see that with some of the drivers having to lift and having trouble getting right up underneath them.
We look at the battle up front between those three as they won nose to tail.
Something happened to Summers. And did he get contact with Solito? Yes, he did. And Moss Corner just about 50 seconds ago.
Oh, this is a big one.
And no more pit stop to come in and try and get some damage repaired. Here it is right here.
Solito a little slower through there than I think Summers expected.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You got to get a different mindset when you're used to racing up in front, and then all of a sudden you get back there with the guys that race like me. We just don't get through those corners quite as fast. That's why we're there.
Oh, our leader's pitting.
No,
wait, excuse me. That's a lapped car. Sorry.
But there is a pass up front. Oh, this time we're going to do it in corner number 1. We haven't seen this before. Barden on the inside, Cortese on the outside. Barden is not going to give it up.
It is flat out through turn 1. So that's really hard to get it done. Look at the big wobble from Barton through Clayton and somehow keeps the car from throwing it away. Oof.
Now all of that's brought Nolan right back into the mix.
Your heart is racing if you start to get a wobble through Clayton, Bill. Here we go again, down in a Moss.
See who gets the best drive out of here.
I don't know if he's far enough back to really get a slingshot. Again, once you pull out of the car ahead, all that downforce comes back into play. It's going to slow you up. I think Cortese might have a nose ahead, but it's still going to be side by side through 8 if they don't touch.
Barton took that defensive line, and look at Cortese close the door.
Brave
going
stuff
around the
from all of these
outside.
guys.
Holy moly.
This is bringing Sipola in. It's now going to be a 4-car fight.
And just 1.6 seconds behind Sipola is the 2-time champion of Rene Oosterkamp.
Oh, speaking of champions, Steph, I think you've spotted a wreck out on track.
Yes, in turn 2, Phil Reed, our highest pitter until that point, got the landmine inside of turn 2 and no chance of saving into the barriers and getting stuck in the tire wall.
Got the replay up here. Let's see. Yeah, oh man, it just straight lined out there. Oh! Third place, Matty Cipolla.
Yep.
Just got almost taken out by, was that Barton?
Yeah, Barton blew Moss and was trying to come back on track. And when he did, Cipolla was there.
All right. Here's a replay. The Finn thought that he was going to gain a spot, and instead he found the wall. Look at this. Yeah, there he goes off track. It was clear, and then he wasn't clear. I honestly kind of put that one on Barton. If you go off track, Bill, you've got to make sure you come back on clear. As far as I'm concerned, there's some debate on this stuff all the time, but when you leave the racing surface, it is your responsibility to come back clean and make sure you don't put anybody else in danger when you come back. But that's just my opinion.
I'm with you, even at your own peril. So what that means is Oosterkamp now, with Cipolla being taken out, and with Barton, Oosterkamp now up to third.
Ooh. Who was that we just saw hit the wall? That's by Barton. So that was Soletto. Did he clip the? I'm trying to find it. Solito, excuse me. Yeah, he was just coming through turn 1, and he just clipped... no, he didn't clip the outside walls. He must have had a little bit too little wing in, because the rear just started to come around, and he tried to save it, but there's no runoff to that right side.
I want to give a shout-out to a couple guys that are having good races. First to 6th position, Ali Hay started in 15th. How about up 9 spots? And right behind him, only a second back, is Luca Verani. 19th to 7th.
Oof, got some bad news. Looks like Little Bird got involved in a wreck not of her own making. It was Sorokin and Mojak, actually. 2 of our major players got into each other, and poor Dove was the unfortunate recipient when they spun across the track.
Those guys, Sorokin and Dove, were back at the very back of that last train.
Yeah, a little bit too far back to get the replay, unfortunately. Now, right now, Luke Barton is our highest pitter, but Emre just came out, and he's about 4.5 seconds behind him. Not impossible to catch, but he's going to have to hustle.
Barton, of course, has the pace. Came in after that contact. His stop wasn't bad. Stefan Barton came in for only there for 10 seconds, so I guess not a lot of damage.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if anybody... I guess Barton and Emre really the only planned stops at this point.
Ones,
yeah, everybody else has had long stops. Here we go. Emre being overtaken by David Santana and Charlie Summers. That's Summers there in the blue and white machine trying to make a pass on Santana. Oh, look at that over-under move. Wow. This is why Charlie Summers is a top runner. That was incredibly clever. I don't think I've seen anybody have the foresight as, almost contact I saw between Santana and Emre there.
I think Emre did get in back of the gearbox of Santana.
Be careful about that damage around here. It costs you time. It costs you downforce. I'm not seeing any on the front from the angles we've seen on the car so far.
Now, Summers is legitimate in that position. He had that big incident, remember, with damage, but he's 12th, just behind Bart. The other car that's pitted is Emre back there, so the car in the middle, Santana, yet to make a stop.
Yeah, and the lap times aren't too bad, honestly. High 113s, mid 113s. which might be more due to traffic than it is due to his damage. So I think Summers has gotten away with things.
There's absolutely no battle ahead of these guys within a second of each other. It was so intense early on. We're looking at the best one right now.
And I don't blame these leaders for staying out, even though they might be running into a little bit of traffic. As woo, Emre with a late
no!
Another bit of contact with Santana.
They actually interlocked wheels. They were actually, how they didn't get spinning out of control, I do not know. Emery was weaving left and right, trying to find a way inside Santana, fending off that position.
Goodness, I too like to live dangerously. These guys just, they are really risking their cars, and we're only halfway into this thing.
"21 minutes of racing to go. Just reaching about the halfway mark here in the next minute or so. Top 10 cars have yet to pit.
Ooh, but we are missing a lot of cars, and I think we lost another one. Sorokin, another victim of Clayton. I think we might have a replay.
We'll take a look at this one. Sorokin again racing for Positive SimRacing Green. It's been a tough day for them, as Lubomir Morris has also had an issue.
Yeah, this is the green and blue car that you see of Sorokin. Up and over the crest. Very little lift here is all you need. Sometimes even flat out, but he's got a car ahead and just too much understeer, unfortunately, with that wake, it seems. Kerry Nolden currently running second. Bill, we've lost, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars already. So nearly a third of the field.
And a lot of big names. Lubomir Morris, Phil Reed, Sipola involved in those.
Well, this is good news for Osterkamp.
It is.
He's running third, but he's yet to take his stop. Ali Hay just came in, by the way.
Now, where Hayes cycles out in relationship to Barton will be interesting.
Barton is coming to turn 9 right now. Ali Hay is out of his stall, but he's got to get to the cones. Barton's coming down the front stretch. This is going to be very close.
Barton gets them.
Momentum on his side. Going to be a gap, at least a healthy gap of about 2.5 seconds.
But he does come out. Hay comes out in front of Summers. So now you have Barton, Hay, and Summers, the top 3 cars who have pitted.
Here's what's interesting is Hay was about 3 seconds faster stationary than Luke Barton. So he did gain a whole bunch of time on him on that stop.
Just so you know, Barton running about, I think, about 33 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, and we're looking at 25 to 30 second stops depending on if you have damage or not, which seems to be pretty common at this point. Ooh, Luca Verani started 19th, running as high as 6th. Where is he going to shuffle out?
This is going to be interesting, Verani in relationship to Hay, because they were running next to each other before they came in.
He's running 12th. He's coming out of whites. And Verani is out of his stall. He's getting to the cones right now as Hay comes around. I think Hay's going to get him, but just barely. Yeah, look at that.
Then Verani cycles out again ahead of Charlie Summers, who continues. Charlie, they keep pitting and coming out in front of you. But Summers with some good pace. I think he's going to run down Verani pretty quick.
He's about on the same pace as Verani, it looks like. Maybe slightly faster. He can hit faster laps, but he's been dealing with traffic is the problem. Oh, and another one, Steph. Sounds like Clayton has just been piling cars up.
Yes, Stuart Mile, he just exited the pits behind Varani, and he got side-by-sided with Santana, and because of his cold tires on the outside, he wasn't able to hold the grip and sadly speared off into tire wall.
Here's the replay. It almost feels like getting a shower bill and then falling into a mud puddle. You just
Okay.
you take your pit stop, you're ready to go, you come out and immediately you wreck. It's an awful feeling. Yeah, just he wanted to steer into there, but another case of a car just understeering off because you're getting greedy. Drew Clayton.
While we were looking at that replay, Gio Cortese had a bad run through Moss, lost a ton of time, and now Nolden is only at 9/10 of a second behind him.
Boy, credit to Cortese. We saw his speed at Bathurst, but that was a hard track to debut on and try and get good results. This one, we've talked about how difficult it is, but it seems like it's offering him a lot better opportunity.
Now, what we missed was Tessier. Let's go to 6th position right now. This is Tessier. He made his pit stop. He was the leader of all the cars who have pitted, but not for long. Luke Barton gets him.
Yeah, up the backstretch easily with that slipstream. If these guys battle too much, they got to make sure that they only do it in a straight line, or else they're going to start to lose time to the cars that they're racing in the pit stops. And that's really hard to keep track of, Bill, unless you have someone on top of your box really watching that. And I think there's very few of these drivers out here that really have a spotter or a crew chief keeping an eye on the track for them.
So Tessier got out on the track first, but Barton got him. I can report, remember, that Summers, we thought he'd get Ferrari. Well, sure enough, he did. And now Charlie Summers has Ali Hay in his sight, a battle for 8th position.
And Cortese's worries are not over, as we got a car coming in that looks like Nolden, actually,
Nolden.
2nd place. But yeah, Cortese through Moss had to avoid a spinning car. And I talked about it, Bill. This is not a very long lap. Again, at 1:13, even with only 30 cars, as we see Osterkamp also in, you're just going to keep running up on traffic no matter whether you pit or you stay out.
Stefan Herman stays out, so he's going to inherit 2nd position, I believe. Nolden is first into the pits, first out.
And way ahead of Barton. Way, way ahead of Barton. Oh, my goodness. He has gapped Barton something fierce.
As has Osterkamp.
So Nolden effectively in 2nd unless he can jump Cortese. Now, question is, does Cortese respond this lap? He came upon a little bit of traffic in the form of Mojack, but he's going to get him on the back straight.
Yeah. Now, this is a fun little battle here. This is Connor Ryan in 3rd position. But he still needs to pit. But he doesn't have to pit for a while. He could have enough fuel to go for a while. So this is a pass that Nolden has to make. It's one of the features, Joe, of the rules of this thing. Nolden can't sit back there saying, okay, soon you're going to have to pit. He's going to have to do this on the track, and he does.
Yeah, and not only that, but he's going to want to get away from him. Oh, as they almost come together in a turn 8. So he's got to use this chance now that he's by when he's not on that long stretch to try and gap him, try and really push through these next few corners.
Stefan, Herman has come in from 2nd.
Yes, indeed, as he goes out again already.
And you've been noticing something about the pit strategy here, Steph, especially with our leader. What's going on?
Well, I've been talking to Cortese's crew chief, and he gave me a hint that they're gonna try to run as long as possible until they run either into some heavy traffic or run out of time to pit their cars. So watch out for them to go very long here.
Yeah, and he's got pretty clear track up to Dave Boudelar, who's a number of seconds up the road. So this might be a really good call, considering he's not going to be held up for a number of more laps.
So we have an interesting battle shaping up. We go back to 5th position. Herman just made this stop. And here is Luke Barton, but he's only back by about a second. Barton has been, little by little, getting these guys who keep pitting and coming out in front of him.
I'm not sure if he's quite close enough. He might be getting a little bit of the draft. It'll depend more on if Barton is faster than Herman, on if he can catch him with the slipstream here. Because he's going to, if he could hold station and maybe gain a little bit of time through the rest of the lap, that slipstream will keep pulling him in little by little. And he's, with 12 minutes left, he's got enough time to get within striking distance. You can even see here as we ride on board the nose, he is gaining.
Yeah, he's going to get to him here. We can stay on this battle of this report that Summers, we've kind of kept you up to date on him. He got around Varani, and now he's got around Alistair Hay. Summers now up into 6th spot.
This is still going to be a disappointing result for Summers, having started on the front row. Even once Ryan pits, that'll put him up to 7th, which is a lot of points lost. Again, Bill, what's really critical in this series is good and consistent finishes in the feature race and then decent finishes in the sprint race, because this race is worth a lot more.
Oh, I think our leader is in. I'm looking at timing.
And Charlie Summers just spun. Charlie Summers just did a full 360 out of Moss Corner, all on his own.
All that hard work, he's going to have to do it again.
And Bill, this wasn't the inside curb this time. This is Summers coming down the hill. It looked good to me. It's just on the exit, the rear starts to come around. I can't even blame it on the outside curb because it, well, maybe I can. Looking at it that time, looks like maybe just goosed it a little bit too hard.
All right, our leader has pitted, come in and out. He's got 2 seconds on Kerry Nolden, who races in 2nd. Renee Osterkamp is 3rd. Finally, Connor decided to come in, so he's out of the mix now. So everything's set the way it should be. The closest battle is really for 4th. This is Herman with Barden. We saw him coming. And he's now back by 0.6 of a second. Should be within striking distance out of Moss here.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity. Oh, he is really hustling it. You saw that blue and white car get a little loose. Thankfully avoided what Summers did, and here it is. This is almost the perfect distance. He's going to have a head of steam. Oh, and he goes to the outside.
Herman took that defensive line and said, okay, I'll give it to you. So Barden up into 4th. Good comeback for him.
Yeah, this is going to be a decent result. Again, he started in 5th, so 4th place, not bad. He inherited 1 from Summers, and a few other cars that slipped down. Matty Cipolla, of course, had an incident.
This is about the stage of the feature race where we talk about the Dos Equis position, the double X position, the 20th position. Joe talked about it. If you were paying attention, well, right now in 20th is Daniel Morris. Unfortunately, he's 7 laps down, as is Stuart Milne in 19th. So really, all you got to do is just stay out there and race. It looks like David Boutelar and David Santana, a couple Davids, are going to make up our front row at the sprint race.
Yeah, Milne has already left the race. He's retired, and Morris might be getting repairs, but he's been in for almost 10 minutes. I don't think he's going to get back out. Now, looking through our starting grid and comparing, Bill, how about Renee Osterkamp? He is up to a legit 3rd because the pit stops are finished.
Yep. You know, we talked about it, Joe, in the opening, that the drivers were glad to have Bathurst behind them, but I think they brought the attrition with them. This has been brutal.
Oh, they didn't bring it with them. It's just Mosport. This is just this track. It punishes and that's why I love some of these old school tracks that don't have miles of paved runoff. If you do something wrong, you're going to pay for it, and it really tests the driver who can go up to that limit and really flirt with danger and come away.
Unlike Bathurst, where injuries come so quickly, here you get it on the grass. At least you have a little time to prepare for what's going to hit you.
Ooh, and Herman's having some problems with his internet, which is not good. He's not racing super closely with Barton at the moment, but he's got to hope that it holds together so that he doesn't get dumped.
And I'll tell you who's coming is Alon Tessier is back there in 6th. He's only just a touch over a second behind. Quiet race for him.
His laps looking actually very beautifully consistent. 13.4, 13.3, 13.4 on the last 3 laps. So he's settled into a rhythm. And like you said, he's coming.
Started in 8th, up a couple of spots.
I think the biggest gainer we've got has got to be Luca Varani. started 19th and sitting 8th. He's talked so much about shaking off the rust, getting back into this Formula Renault. I think most of the rust is gone at this point. We're seeing some chrome because that car is looking like it is flying today.
He is having a good run. How about we highlight a couple other guys? Remember Connor Ryan? He's now in 12th position. He racing in 3rd when he took his pit stop. He cycles out in 12th. Just ahead of Tom Van Hoyman in 13th. And those are close enough that may actually heat up here before this is over.
Ryan's another one that didn't get a qualifying lap in. He actually didn't come out for a lap, so he probably was one that felt that it was safer to just start from the back. Considering what we've seen, not the worst call.
Also, sometimes that's how they implement penalties as well. They don't let drivers qualify.
This is true, yes.
So that could be possibly one of those things as well. Don't want to make that assumption because he might have just wanted to start from the back.
Yeah, well, if we get to talk to him, we'll try and ask him what happened. One of the things that does interest me is because they have that 3-lap qualifying, and that's all you get to try and get laps in, Bill, is that it does sometimes shake things up in the grid. And I think that's what happened with Osterkamp. We're used to him being a little bit faster than a 9th place. I think he maybe had a couple offs, or maybe he got a little bit of damage when he went over a curb wrong or something. Because his race pace really, to me, says that he maybe botched his qualifying here a little bit.
We look at Barton. This is a good battle. Herman has shaken off his internet connection problem. And I think he's got a shot here. He can get a good drive off of Moss. That has not been his strength.
Yeah, remember, this is how Barton caught up to him and passed him before. So
yeah.
I don't think that Herman is going to be able to pull the same card on him. I think right now Barton's a little bit faster in a straight line. See, even though he's in the slipstream, he's really not gaining a whole lot.
Good news for Herman is Tessier not able to close much up on him. That gap staying at 1.3.
Yeah, at this point, it seems that things have kind of leveled out, and most drivers are in somewhat of a stalemate.
There is a fun one, though, back here for 7th. We talked about Luca Verani. He's in striking distance of Hayes. Got it under a second. Boy, don't forget about Charlie Summers. He's already passed these guys once on the track. He's closing in on them, trying to give one more shot at him.
Yeah, and Summers' lap times are actually quite a bit faster than both of them. So this is going to get very interesting very quickly, especially if Verani can catch Hay. Apparently I made an accidental joke there.
I think Verani is well, Summers doesn't get a great drive off of Moss, but if he doesn't get him this lap, I think he's going to get him next time.
Yeah, he's definitely closing in on Verani much quicker than Luca is on Ali. Looking through, this is about as close as we've got between 4th and 5th. So let's stay with this, especially since we know that Charlie Summers is likely to catch him.
This report that Santana and Butlar have all gone a lap down, but no worries. As long as they don't go 2 laps down, they still get the regrid benefits.
I'm trying to see who is going to be fast on the regrid here. Summers obviously is going to have a good opportunity. Newton we've seen sometimes good with the regrid. He's going to be just a couple rows in.
Emery's got about 2 seconds on Tom Van Hoyman, but back it's Ryan. Connor Ryan is being chased by Tom Van Hoyman down here.
Yeah, for 12th place here. Looks like Connor Ryan might be in some trouble. He's been running pretty well. Like we said, didn't qualify.
Let's go to 8th. Here comes Summers. I think he's going to get this.
Oh,
it's a little late coming.
Right when let's stay with this, but right when we ducked away, I can report that Ryan spun in Moss. Let's stay with this.
Summers makes the move on the outside. Luca doesn't put up much of a fight. Move him up into 8th position now for Charlie. He's got 1.5 seconds up to Hay.
And that doesn't surprise me. From what Lucas told us before, he's mostly concerned with finishing this races. So even though he's only got a few minutes left, he knows how fast Charlie is. He knows that's going to be a really tough ask and putting a risk on the car if he tries to go ultra defensive.
So with Ryan's spin, he sets now comfortably in 13th position. This one just continues. This is Barton and Herman. The problem is Herman just doesn't have any drive off of that Moss there and Barton pulls away from him every time.
Yeah, I suspect that Barton has trimmed out the wing just a little bit and has figured out how to make the car fast in a straight line, and it's been helping him. He may be able to be caught in the corners, but if you can't get around them in the corners and if you're stuck in the wake, then obviously once you're ahead, you're sitting pretty.
Cortese comes across the finish line, the start-finish line, with about a minute and a half of racing to go, so he'll get this and one more.
And it looks like he's stretching away from Nolden a little by little. It was at a second and a half earlier in the race. It's been holding at about 2 seconds between Cortese and Nolden. Nolden's got nothing to worry about behind him. Osterkamp's a whole 5.5 seconds. I would mostly attribute that, Bill, to all of the cars that Osterkamp had to deal with, all the traffic he had to pass to get where he is. So if he would have started higher, he maybe would have had a shot at a second and potentially even a first.
Having a nice, comfortable, well for him, Friday night race. Let's go to 7th, because I think Charlie Summers is in good position to pounce here. So they come out of Moss, looking at Ali Hay.
Charlie's got to be... Go ahead.
Oh, Summers will get him, but if he can just keep the car from spinning once he gets it done.
I was just about to mention that. Yeah, he's got to be careful. He's much faster than this car. He really doesn't have to do anything crazy. And I think he's going to get it. Yep, down into turn 8. Now he just has to finish the lap. Ali Hay could come back at him, but I don't think he's got the pace for Charlie.
Well, if there were a reward for actual cars passed on track, I think Summers would get that one. And white flag!
Back up to 7th, where we mentioned before. So he made up for his mistake.
Going to be good news for David Santana. He's going to start outside of row 1. On the pole for the sprint regrid, David Boutelar, the French driver.
Basically a victory lap here for Cortese. It's back down to a 1.5 seconds, but again, he is not under threat at all. This has been practically a clinic from our pole sitter.
Wire to wire, and as that's going on, Yuri Mojek in 16th position spins, doesn't hit anything. We don't need to go there. Well, out of the final corner, round 6 of the feature goes to Gio Cortese.
Going to be one to watch. He may not be in the championship, but he could certainly spoil the party for some people. I can report that Summers was not repassed by Ali Hay. Hay is going to have to settle for 8th place.
Real quiet top 10 for Josh Ladd. I don't know if we gave him a lot of screen time, but that was a good run from him. Oh, and as we say that, he does that.
I think that was possibly intentional.
Little celebration.
Yeah, he knew he had that position.
And then we wrap it up. Okay. The racing is over here in the feature. Remember, this is a doubleheader, and the best part of any doubleheader is the break between events, that perfect blend of the post-race high and the pre-race jitters. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. But that's going to be a while because we have the sprint race coming up, so don't go far. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of Apex Online Racing's Formula Renault 2.0 Season 11 Championship. Round 6 from Mosport. The feature races in the books. Let's give you that finishing order now. Gio Cortese goes wire to wire, comes in with the win, a second and a half ahead of Kerry Nolden. Renee Osterkamp started 9th, gets the final podium position. Luke Barden and Stefan Herman round out your top 5, the back half of your top 10. Len Tessier, a very good run from him. Charlie Summers, boy, he had passed a lot of cars for his 7th position. Ali Hay and Luca Verani go 8th and 9th. And how about the really, really nice run, 28th to 10th, quiet run for Josh Ladd. Joe?
Evan Emre going from 21st to 11th, so very good from him. And he did put a qualifying time in. Tom Van Hoyman finishing 12th with Connor Ryan finishing 13th. Scott Newton gets a 14th spot with Tim Matzke in 15th. And Jiri Mojak going to be the last car on the lead lap, getting 16th place. Then David Santana finishes 17th. And David Boudelar is going to be our pole sitter at 18th, the last car that managed to finish. Stuart Milne DNF'd in 19th, and did Daniel Morris in 20th.
2 DNFs. I think I have 10 more. Alexei Sorokin, Sarah Dove, Maddie Sipla, Sorokin and Dove. Sipla, big names there. Giovanni Soletto in 24th. Phil Reed, another big name that does not finish. Thomas Edwards, Leonard Sherry in 27th position. Lubomir Morris, boy, he has a bad outing. Christopher Rigby, 29th. And last car to grid up. Yikes. Well, the question is, will that attrition carry over for the next one? But we're going to be having an opportunity to talk to Luca Verani right now, who had come in there in 9th position. You had some good fighting going on out there.
Hi guys, nice talking to you as always. Yes, can't complain about the final position, pretty happy about it. Performance, not so good. I should have driven 2 or 3 times per lap faster, but I was very lucky. The other guys decided to let me by.
I think you're starting to get a feel for the car. I know you say that you've been rusty and it's taken a while, but the results are coming in.
I'm getting a little faster, yes. Probably I got 2 or 3 times per lap since the last race, so that's good. We'll see if it's only Mosport that was a fluke, or if I will keep it up.
Okay, well, you finished 9th. There are 18 cars that are going to be regrid, so you are right in the thick of it. You got 8 cars that are going to be slower than you theoretically, and 9 cars are going to be faster than you behind you. They're all coming at you in both directions.
Sounds like fun. We'll see how it goes.
All right, keep it clean, bring it home. Let's get a good result. Nice job. Luca Verani, a 9th place finish here in the feature.
Sounds like we've got Luke Barton ready to talk to us, going from 5th to 4th. Luke, you were in the thick of the fight for at least the top spots, but once they broke that draft, it seems like you just could not catch those top 3 guys.
It was an okay qualifying. I was quite happy with that. And the start of the race was obviously very good. I think the first 12 laps or so, I was in the hunt for top 3 positions. And then unfortunately, I ran wide at the double right-hander. And then as I was coming back onto the track, and Matty Sipler came across me, and I didn't have time to react. And unfortunately, we had a bit of a tangle, and I had to pit for a new wing. After that, I just tried to put in some laps, but I was a bit flustered, to be honest. So I was making a lot of mistakes, but I just kept driving. I had quite a nice experience catching up with Stefan Herman and overtaking him. He was quite compliant. That was very kind of him. I did notice that. And it was generally a good race, except for the Matty incident.
Now, we were debating between myself and Steph about how to set up a car for here, because I insisted you needed to stay off the curbs. He said if you set it up for mechanical grip, maybe trim it out a little bit, you can take the curbs and be fast. What about you? How did you approach this race and try to race the track?
Yeah, my setup's very soft because there's quite a few nasty little bumps, especially into the double right-hander. There's bumps on the inside and bumps on the outside, and you really need the car to be forgiving. Otherwise, you just have to take the perfect line through there, and that doesn't always happen. In fact, it very rarely happens, even when you've got a compliant setup. But yeah, I tend to stay off the curbs just because there tend to be more there's more unknowns happening there. There's a few hand grenades around as well, like little glitches in the track that will throw your front end of your car up in the air just almost at random. So yeah, I try and set the car up quite soft to handle the bumps and just to take the curbs if I do happen to accidentally clip them.
Well, the good news for you is that the best day tends to operate like horseshoes and hand grenades. So you just got to be close enough and hope for the best for you in the sprint race to try and get in there.
Thanks, gang.
It's Luke Barton, our 4th place finisher here today. And Bill, that's it. I think we need to wrap up and get ready for the sprint.
Let's do that. So we'll take a short break. Don't go far. We'll be back for that exciting sprint race in just a minute. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the AOR Formula Renault 2.0 Season 11 Championship, Round 6 from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Well, the feature race is in the books. We've done our interviews, so now it's time for the always exciting sprint race. Joe, how does this work?
Well, I mentioned it is the shorter one. As the name implies, it's only 25 minutes, so just slightly over half of the last race. We already talked about it as well. They're inverting the grid according to the finishing order of the last one, which means 18th place, Boutelar, should be on the pole. They do not have any scheduled stops, so if you have to come into the pits, it's going to hurt even more here, and damage going to be even more costly because of that. The incident cap, because it's a shorter race, is also lower at 13th, and don't know if I mentioned in the last one, the incident cap means you can be disqualified if you get those 13 incidents. You are removed from the track right away immediately. You don't get to finish. The win here, remember that other one was only 32 points. This one, 20 points for the win, and it's only down to 16th position that you get points in this one. So you got to work a little bit harder to try to bring them in, and they don't pay as much. So it's very much a risk-reward weighing scenario. And Bill, we've seen in the past, some people unfortunately weigh it a little bit too much in favor of risk and pay the price.
Yeah, absolutely. And with no pit stops this round, we're going to bring Stefan. We're going to have him get a little exercise, climb the stairs, coming up and join us in the booth. Stefan, the first round with qualifying with the faster cars in front, the slower cars behind, that didn't seem to help the attrition early on. It was ugly. What do you think? Do you think they learned their lesson? Do you think it's going to be a little more peaceful this time, or are we in for some more nonsense?
It always depends on the track. Bathurst, it delivers. Sadly, a lot of crashes. That's just the nature of the track, as how hard to drive it is. Mosport, different scenario. You have everyone on a high downforce setup getting their car set up for the turns. It's fairly wide. You just have to watch out for turn 2. So I think we won't see any mayhem that we saw in Bathurst.
Joe, at Bathurst, it's so hard to pass early on. The drivers are almost forced to behave. Maybe here, though, with so many passing opportunities, maybe they might get a little greedy on those early laps.
Well, and we also saw a glimpse of what's possible. Remember the early part of that first race, I compared it to Talladega. Everybody's going to be clumped together. And now on top of it, you got cars who are faster than one another slotted into the back. So I think it's going to be a bit of a mess in a couple of the corners, especially coming out of Moss. If anybody makes a dive, we saw last time we had a bit of a stack up in the back. As soon as one person gets clipped, if you're on a single screen, it's such a sharp corner, you really don't see all the mess happening until you're right on top of it.
I have to jump in here for a second. You were talking out of Moss. I think if we see any mayhem, it is going to be into Moss, because you will have the back runners who aren't that confident into that corner take it at a much slower rate than our front runners who are very confident with their setup and cars. So if we see something, it's going to be into Moss.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that we'll get a little bit of that action as well. Go ahead, Bill.
Talk about those guys that maybe not quite as confident. We have the two Davids up there, Boutelar and Santana on the front row. We'll see how that plays out. I know that Boutelar is a very confident driver. Maybe he doesn't have the speed, but he's confident in what he can do. I don't know David Santana that much. We'll see how this plays out. I think the driver to watch will be Charlie Summers. He's maybe the fastest car anywhere near the front of the grid.
He's certainly set the best, but he's also kind of in the thick of things. So we'll see. Being regrid back in, I believe it'd be what, about 12th or so?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, to the point that what Stefan said, there's going to be drivers who aren't very confident around him. And we saw that catch him out a little bit on the feature race. So I kind of wonder, again, going back to what you said, did he learn his lesson? Did he kind of note, all right, some of these drivers are going to be sort of slow into some of these corners. I need to back my points up, get them off the corner instead of trying to plow my way in there under braking.
Honestly, and I've done so many of these, the place where you don't want to be is where poor Luca Verani is. He's right smack in the middle, where they're coming at you from the front and they're coming at you from behind. And remember, even though we're only regridding 18, we have a ton of fast drivers that are going to be back there that don't get the regrid. Cipolla, Reed, just to name a few.
Yeah, those guys are going to be having a bit of a tough day, that's for sure. They'll certainly have to work hard on trying to make sure that they're watching ahead, watching behind, and just it's almost a battle to just keep your position instead of lose positions or gain them.
Chance for the double, boys. Can it be done? Can you get there? Tall ask, huh?
Honestly, I don't think so. We saw that Osterkamp starting from 9th, which isn't that far back, he had trouble getting up to the lead, even though he had pretty good pace. He had to settle for 3rd, so I think it's going to be tough.
I would say yes, he does it.
Okay, that's what we like to see. We're talking about little George. Gio Cortese won the feature. He's going to be starting, well, no worse than 18th. Let's assume everybody comes back.
Yeah, as we watch him work his way around. Yeah.
Real quickly, we didn't do weather. Let's talk about the weather here. We didn't talk about it in the first race. What's it look like here?
Well, you know, I was taking notice of that after the race was over, and thankfully it still helps us. 15-mile-an-hour winds. Now, thankfully, the way that they set it up in this series, it's not changeable weather, so it is consistent. But I think that explains why we saw a few cars spinning out in places, or maybe understeering in places on the track that were a little bit unusual. And it has obviously affected the cars, and they've had to adapt.
Okay, the practice is done, and as soon as iRacing goes ahead and gives us the official grid order, we'll give that to you. We know that it's going to be David Santana up on near the front. Let's see how they do it. And now we got it. And sure enough, it is David Butelar and David Santana in the front row. Yuri Mojak and Tim Metzke will make up row 2. Scott Newton, another fast driver, could be somebody to watch out for. Tom Van Hoyman in 6th. Evan Emre, Josh Ladd in 8th position. Boy, he was good in that feature. Luca Verani in 9th. And there's Ali Hay in 10th. Joe?
Charlie Summers starts P11 with Alain Tessier starting 12th. Stefan Herman will be P13. Luke Barton will start the race in 14th spot. Renee Osterkamp 15th, then Kerry Nolden in 16th. Then there's our winner from the first race, Gio Cortese. He'll start 17th, actually. Stuart Milne will be P18 with Daniel Moore starting 19th and Alexei Sorokin in a 20th.
And then we get down to 21st. It is Sarah Dove, Maddie Sipla, Giovanni Solito, Phil Reed. Boy, these guys are going to be quick. Thomas Edwards, Leonard Sherry, Lubomir Morris, Christopher Rigby, Connor Ryan in 29th. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. Well, let's see what the Davids can do for the second time. Gather up the chickens, take cover on the cows. The horses are out of the barn. Butelar leading them down into the first corner. Once again, just like we saw in the feature race, the driver from 3rd, that's Yuri Mojak, gets up on the inside of Santana, fights for that position. Santana fends him off. Mojak is in the grass. I don't think he's going to be able to keep it from in the wall. Matsky is in 3rd position now. Out a spin from Tom Van Hoyman in front of everybody, but he keeps it out in front of everybody. They all go around. Nice job.
Wow. I can also report that Barton had an off coming through Clayton, so he is set way back. What could have been a decent day is going to be very, very difficult now.
Thomas Edwards gets tagged by Sherry. I'm sorry, by Phil Reed. I think it was Reed who got it. Sherry goes off.
And who is that on his lid down in 4? Meanwhile, our leader's going to swap positions. Looks like Santana's got a run on Butelar and Tim Metzke. Oh, wow. Tim Metzke had to lift big time because of a late move from the car of Butelar.
Santana around the outside. Josh Ladd now fighting up in there.
Whoa, and our leader spins.
And a spin from Santana. Nobody gets him.
So Ladd now our leader, Butelar 2nd, Matsky 3rd. Well, there's our chaos that we were looking for.
It could have been a lot worse. A lot of spins and a lot of cars that did not get collected. And Josh Ladd had a windscreen full of that one. He's up in front. Butelar in 2nd. Matsky in 3rd. Imre, Verani in 5th. I can report that Newton had an off, so he's gone.
Also, Charlie Summers, he's been playing a very patient game, which is probably the best way to go about this. Look at this. He's attacking Luca Verani. He's only up to 6, having started this thing in 11th, as we got another car off. I think that's Josh Ladd.
Josh Ladd from the lead. In Moss. So Ladd spins from the lead. Butelaar gets around him. Butelaar is your new leader. Matsky up into second position. Look at what's going on here.
3 wide. That's Ladd trying to do something about his mistake. They're going to try it into turn 8. Somehow they get through the first half of it, and they get, wow! I don't think I've ever seen 3 wide work out in that corner.
That was Rene Oosterkamp, was the toothpaste, and somehow he managed not to get into anybody. Now on the inside of Oosterkamp, he doesn't know he's there, is Kerry Nolden. They almost get together.
Nolden backed out of that when he saw what was happening. And Oosterkamp up into 9th now. But Cortese is in front of him. He's all the way up to 7th. And Summers has reached 4th.
Oh, I think Cortese has made up enough ground that he has a real possibility to get there. Butelaar out in front. Matsky in second. The battle is for third. Emery and Summers. Oh, going off from second position. He's going to surrender them all. That was Tim Matsky. So more positions to be vultured by everybody.
Yep, make that a battle for second now. And Summers is going to have the slipstream, but I think he's a little bit too far back on Emery. Doesn't matter too much at this point because all he's really got to worry about is Cortese, and he's a little ways back for now.
But when Matsky went off, Cortese was able to sneak by, so he's now up to 6th position.
And Emery did give it up on Summers, so Summers now up to 2nd, and he's only 1.2 behind Butelaar. Let's see what David's made of here. Is he going to fight Bill, or is he going to just hand this over easily?
Somehow our pole sitter has found his way back to the front. We've had more leaders than I can count right now. David Butelaar out in front by 1 second over Charlie Summers. Summers cannot waste time because he knows that Casey is back there and coming.
Don't need to go to it, but I want to report that Kerry Nolden had a spin coming out of 9, and he has slipped back to 19th. He's still going.
Other big names that did well in the feature, Oosterkamp is in 9th. Yeah.
P8,
well, look at
bit
this
of a battle.
Oh, and there's a mistake. As soon as we get onto that, Tim Matsky going off, Oosterkamp gets around him.
Second time in 2 laps from Matsky.
Yep.
That's the same corner you were talking about, the difficulty up there, Steph. It's almost the reverse of what you predicted. Tim, instead of being too timid, he's going in very hard and paying for it.
Yes, and that's exactly what can happen to you, because you have such a big hill up there, and then it's suddenly flat. The car gets very light, and mistakes like that can lure you in because you're braking so late because it's a steep uphill. Just get too light over the crest and off you go.
We saw Sipola get around Hay. Ali not giving up the ghosters. He's going to fight back, but can't get it done into turn 1. Meanwhile, Butelaar's lead up in front, which was 1 second, has been cut down to 0.3 of a second. Better to do it by car lengths, maybe four car lengths now between Butelaar and Summers. Summers is coming.
Yeah, he is absolutely there at this point. And Charlie's probably going to make easy pickings for him. If he just backs the corner up here in Moss, he should be able to slipstream by down the backstretch and really not have to worry about anything.
Another driver thinking the same thing. Cortese is right on the back of Tessier as well in 6th position, looking to pick some up. Meanwhile, I think we're going to see a change for the lead here.
He's well within it. Closing. He might be side by side into turn 8. What's Butelaar going to do? He's going to hold the right side, Bill.
Yeah, David just eased over a little bit into the middle, and Summers not able to get that done. Neither did Cortese. Cortese has to sit back in 6th position.
Yeah.
Now the pass for the lead.
Oh, wow. Down into turn 1. Great stuff by Summers. The thing he really wants to do here is build a gap. Just build it as quick as you can to try and prevent Cortese from having an opportunity to try and chase him down and make this a race based on pace.
So if we'll go back to 10th position. This is Luke Barton. He's ahead of Sipola.
Wow, not a bad climb. Remember, Barton had an off in the very first lap coming through Clayton. I'm actually kind of shocked he's gotten as high as he had because he was effectively at the very tail end of the field, and now he's in the top 10. In fact,
I think we're going to have
he's only 6 seconds behind the leader.
Gonna have a pass for fourth here. If we go up to Imre, he's being under attack by Alain Tessier. Now looking at the whole thing is Cortese. That's Imre in front. Now Imre moves over to the middle. Tessier gonna try to power around the outside. No. Go ahead, Steph.
Butler wrecked into turn 8. He caught the grass and then just accelerated through the runoff into
my goodness. He's buried in the tires.
Yeah, a bit of a Schumacher situation there. he's speared right into it. Yeah, I agree with Steph. It looks like once he caught the grass and realized what was happening, actually, no, that might have been a hardware failure.
Meanwhile, while that was going on, Cortese has worked his way up to fourth.
Imre just ahead of him, coming down into Moss. As expected, Cortese doesn't go for a pass. They had a car off that Sarah Dove flaps down. Yeah, she's just getting out of everybody's way.
Cortese in good shape now. I think Imre's going to have to make his car really wide if he hopes to hold off the winner of the feature.
We've seen Rolling Thunder make it difficult for people to pass. Let's see what he's got under his sleeve.
Cortese kind of pin him to the inside, not letting him come over. Now he moves all the way over. Should have good momentum on the outside. No.
Yeah, I figured as much. He's not going to give it up easily. Not to gloat, but David Boudelaire has confirmed he lost wheel connection.
Back in 8th is Oosterkamp, as he's hoping to get best of days honors, but he's going to have to do a little bit better as he's got Cortese ahead of him.
Yeah, unless Cortese makes a mistake or maybe some lap traffic has an incident in front of him, I definitely think that best today is going to easily go to Cortese.
And while this is going on, I think Cortese has a good run here on Imre. Got a lot of momentum. Going to look to the inside. This is one of the places that Stefan said you could get the pass done, and he does it.
Yeah, he was on the racing line. It's a little bit more rubbered in, a little bit more clean over there, so it was pretty easy pickings for the Iberian driver.
How about our mid-race interview there, our between-race interview with Lucas Varani in 2nd position? Got to be happy with that. I don't know if he's going to be.
He's not going to be in 2nd for very long. And here's the problem. Oh, is actually Cortese going to lose a spot because Imre is going to come back at him? He's not giving up on him. Didn't quite have the speed.
Another fast driver is Tessier back in that mix as well. And Josh Ladd racing the 3rd car in line back there. Remember, he had that 10th place finish. There they are. The blue car is Imre. Tessier is the one with the white stripe down the middle, and then Ladd bound behind him, the 3rd car in line.
And they're starting to drop off of Cortese now, which is bad news. What they really want to do probably is just ride his coattails. If they could stay within the draft, they could follow him up and start to scout places from Varani once they catch him. But if they drop off, it's going to be a lot harder for them to try to get places away from the Italian. Because actually, Imre is having to fend off Tessier down into Moss.
And I can report that Sipla just got around Barden, so Sipla now moves up into 10th spot.
Another one we don't need to go to, poor Sherry. He clipped the grass heading into Moss. The car spun around on him. He had to wait for a bunch of cars to go by before he could get going again.
Oh, Josh Lash, let's go to 6th position. Oh, my goodness. Oh, he was going to try to peek to the inside. It doesn't work. I thought he was going to try to shoot down the middle. Tessier in 4th. Imre now Ladd around the outside.
Oh, power move from Ladd. He basically pinched him down to the apex and said, "Gimme that. If you're not giving it away, I'm taking it by force."
He brings Oosterkamp with him. Imre drops back to 7th.
Whew. I mean, my hat's off to the number 42. I don't think I've ever seen a move that strong on White's corner.
We ride on board. Now we look, and there's Oosterkamp in that Swiss cheese colored machine. Right up behind Ladd. They're trying to run down Tessier in 4th.
And Imre and Hay also in a little bit of a battle behind them. We got them both within the same shot, so we can keep track of each of these battles.
And you see coming and look for those two cars in the very back, and they're coming too. This is Barden and Cipolla will be with these guys in a matter of a couple laps. Hay tries to take a peek around Imre, not going to work.
All right, Gio Cortese is now within half a second of Verani. So I think we got a pass coming up very soon for second place.
4 seconds between Summers and Verani.
And that's increasing because Summers just set the fastest lap of the race.
All by himself, Charlie Summers.
Tale of two races, Bill. Last
Sure is.
one was Disappointment City, and this one, as he goes a little wide into Moss, he's got to finish the race still. But this one, man, is practically been handed to him on a silver platter.
Let's drop back to second now, as Cortese might be too far back to get this done, going down into 8.
Yeah, I may have spoke too soon. He dropped back a little bit there for part of the lap. It was almost like he was struggling. I wonder if the 55 got a little bit of damage while climbing through the field.
The good news for Verani is I think he probably has the pace to hold off those other names back there. Tessier, Ladd, Osterkamp's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look back at 7th right now. Here comes a run from Ali Hay. No, he doesn't do it.
I want to give credit, though, to some of these fast drivers that had to recover from the very back. Guys like Cipolla, Barton, Osterkamp. They've come forward a fair bit, so they're going to get decent points.
Barton and Cipolla race 9th and 10th right now. I really think they have enough time to actually get up to that 4-car battle of Imre and Osterkamp and Ladd. See how many of those guys they can get.
Yeah, and when they do, Bill, expect a little bit more chaos in this race because they're already really close to one another, and we've already seen them fight. So I think when you throw two fast cars, you're going to see these guys towards the tail of this train spy an opportunity and try to follow them through on some passes.
Boy, I love that camera angle. Thank you, director. That one was fun. I'm going to tell you this, Luca Verani is still ahead of Cortese, and Cortese's not really closing in that much on him.
I'm really surprised, honestly, at this. I thought it was going to be easy meat. He really gained on him quickly. Maybe it's the aero trap. Steph, I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think maybe Gio is suffering from that and just can't get close enough to make an attack?
Well, I can report that he is faster on the speed traps down into turn 8, so that is at least something that is Verani, obviously. Gio, he is getting really close in the turns, which makes me believe that Gio is running more downforce than Verani. So, but I'm pretty sure it won't take all that long till Cortese is able to get around him.
Closest he's been so far out of Moss. This time it looks much better. I don't think Luca's going to be able to hold him off this time.
This is exactly what he needed. He needed tucked under that rear wing if he's got that more downforce. Watch him stall out when he gets beside him here. That extra downforce is going to make him pay.
But watch, he should have the power. Let's see if he gets the momentum around the outside. Maybe make it stick. And he does, and he powers by. No, boy, fights back. Oh, Luca, that a boy.
Verani crossing him up to have to save the car, but nice job. He's got to watch out. A lane close behind already.
5 seconds up to Summers. That's what Cortese's job is now. Now let's see what Verani can do. Here comes Tessier behind him.
Yeah, we got to really watch Cortese's laps because he's going to have to be probably about 3/4 of a second faster than Summers to even catch him, let alone pass him by the last lap. And I'm just not confident he's got that kind of advantage.
This is going to be some good racing going on here. You have a train. We're going to say Cortese's going to pull away. But you got Verani, Tessier, Ladd, 1, 2, 3. And then in the very back of this train, they finally got there. Barden and Cipolla. They're going to be working their way through Imre and Hay. And I don't know what's going on with Rene Osterkamp today, Joe. He just doesn't seem to have a feel for it. He's just, yes, he had a third, but He's not, I mean, he's Rene Oosterkamp.
He did start. Oh, was there a mistake from Verani?
Yep.
Tessier got by, and now Josh Ladd gets through.
Tessier wheel touch with Verani.
Oh, Verani almost gets into it with Oosterkamp.
Oosterkamp's got the inside. They very nearly touch. Oof, I don't, Steph, do you think that weave from Oosterkamp was a bit of frustration or what? Because that was a little odd.
It sure was. I think he tried to do somewhat like a Verstappen, going left, right, to choke his opponent, but it didn't work.
Don't have to go there, but Connor Ryan had a spin. Didn't touch anything out of the first corner, and he got it going again, but he's down to 15th because of that.
As they come out of Moss, now there's going to be more passes than we can call. I think Oosterkamp has a chance to get Verani. And I think farther back, here comes Sipla on the inside of Imre. Oh, excuse me, this is Barden on the inside of Imre.
Yeah, he's got Imre because he's got the inside and he's well past. Imre actually lifts to let him through, but still side by side for Oosterkamp and Verani.
Up in front, Verani is giving Oosterkamp fits right now.
He's got the
Good
run off.
drive out of Whites. Oh.
Well, Verani has now shed the just get to the end mentality.
Yeah, no kidding. He's racing. Ali Hay back there looking on. Oosterkamp still cannot get him.
He's got to be careful about how close he gets to the way these guys are fighting. Spidey senses are starting to take it. Something's going to erupt.
Here he comes, one more chance. This is Oosterkamp. Going to try it around the outside.
The inside down into Moss, though. Can he get it braked in time? Oh, he's got. Oh, no!
Careful! Oh! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5!
And the big winner in all of that is Evan Imre, who just slices through. As Luca Verani might have a little bit of damage, but is still up in front of him. Can we get an onboard from Imre on that? It was almost comical, Bill. I wondered when he slid to the inside how this is going to wind up, and it just went exactly as my mind thought it would.
He was there, and then he comes right back in front, and then it's bang, 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 and the seas part for Rolling Thunder.
It was everybody coming up to a stoplight way too late, and just rear-ending everybody.
Well, you can feel it, Joe. You talked about Spidey senses, and yeah, that's what we had. Tessier and Ladd here, this battle for third.
Yeah, and they've got a clear track behind them because of all that mess. It's just these two to settle it out amongst each other. I don't think Verani or Imre are going to have the pace to catch them.
Yeah, I'll just report the summer intervals now up to 6 seconds. Cortese has nothing for Charlie Summers.
Yeah, last few laps, 13.3, 13.1, 13.6 for Cortese. Summers, 13 flat, 13.1, 12.8. Actually set the fastest lap of the race there, did Summers.
I don't know how to say this without it sounding insulting to Charlie Summers, but he's not immune to something bad happen to him in these next few laps. So come on, Charlie, let's bring it home, huh? Look at this battle.
To survive. Yeah, and yeah, Ladd took a go, but Tessier was not going to let him do it.
Oh, he's got a good run, though, out of Whites. Nope, too late.
Yeah, like I said, there's no breaking into that first corner, so it's rare that you see passes unless somebody gets a good run off of Whites to where they're fully beside the person.
Well, Joe, math is not my forte, but right now, winning the feature, finishing second in the sprint, that's what Gio Cortese is looking to do. I think best today, pretty secure for him. Here comes the move.
Got to keep it solid on the inside. You can see that little wiggle, almost exactly what we saw from Oosterkamp.
The Oosterkamp wiggle, yep.
But Ladd kept it steady, and the unfortunate thing for Josh is now he's giving that big old slipstream to Elaine all the way up the Andretti straight.
He's got a good run. The defensive line, Ladd stays to the inside. Going to make Tessier work around the outside. Nope.
It's always it's always hard to fight that racer's instinct, Bill, where you want to outbrake someone into a corner and get away from them. But the advice that you always hear from the old heads is just so true. It's easier to pass on a straight than a corner. So just get up behind someone and outgun them off of there, and you'll find that you can overtake much easier. Now, Elaine didn't quite make it happen, but he's going to be within the slipstream again. I think he's going to get another go at Josh.
I want to go to a funny story. This is Sipola and Barton. These guys have been together the whole time. They were also involved in that Osterkamp melee. And now we see that right now Barton gets that spot around Sipola, but here comes a driver with a healthy car going through. That is Connor Ryan.
Yeah, he caught them so quick. Look at, as long as he doesn't get squeezed off course. Yeah, he's got it once he's ahead because, like you said, both Barton and Sipola are practically limping around the track here.
It's just funny that they were together and their cars were damaged equal amounts that they continue to race together. Connor Ryan now up into 12th.
They'd probably race wheelchairs in the hospital if they could.
Yeah. Look at 5th. Here we go. That's right. This is Imre on the outside this time. Varani on the inside. Boy, Varani has been one tough customer today.
Yeah, gotta love that Italian ferocity. When he wants a position, he's gonna make you work for it. Good run. They're gonna be side by side into one.
Running with the momentum on the outside. Oh! A little bang.
Yeah, he's a little bit too far out. There's no grip way out there, and Imre knew it. Thankfully, he lifted a little to let Luca through. You talk about two nationalities, Bill, that are going to fight hard. A Scotsman and an Italian.
We're already up there racing like a kidney stone. He's really hard to pass right there. Imre finding some way around him. On him like a postage stamp.
They get the white flag here, so they're running out of time to settle this. And they got to be careful. You can still throw the race away here. They've got good points on hand if they just bring it to the line.
As we look at Summers getting that one, here comes the pass. The momentum on the outside is going to go to Imre. He cannot close. They touch. Imre sliding like a trombone on a toboggan, and he's off the track.
Tries to get it turned around, almost comes back into traffic as Sherry, Rigby, and Osterkamp all stream by. And poor Varani, he's not done with it yet because now he's got Osterkamp right on him.
Well, Osterkamp, let's try it one more time into Moss like we did before.
Summers made a mistake. Cortese is leading. It was a little bit too far inside on Clayton. He spun the car around. And Cortese.
No.
Oh, wow. Bill, the double. Is happening. We've been waiting for it for a long time.
I hope I didn't speak that into reality when I talked about Charlie Summers, but he just had to bring it home. But right now, it is Gio Cortese. Working his way through the S's into whites. He won the feature. He wins the sprint. The rare double goes to Gio Cortese. Charlie Summers has to settle for second.
I hope Cortese speaks decent enough English that he'll come and talk to us, because we have got to talk to one of the first in a while. Oh, and Luca Varani loses a position at the line as Osterkamp snipes it from him.
Wow. Ronnie gets 6th, Osterkamp in 5th.
Poor Barton and Sipola, 12th and 13th, Bill. Let's take a look at this incident. I think we got it bookmarked. Steph, you seem to think this is a landmine, but to me it looks like he just went a little too far inside and clipped the grass.
For me, his front completely lifts off there over the curb that is there. So, I don't know, maybe it was net code or so.
We're watching Cortese. We need to go to Summers. Probably need to back it up again here. Yeah, we definitely need to back it up. This was in Clayton. All right, here we'll get good look at it. Because I know I've driven too far inside myself. Just clipped that grass and... No, from that angle... Oh, no, we've gone too far back here. Well, this happened in Clayton, so... It has to happen on the next lap, I believe. And we might have to abandon this and just go to break because it's a long ways away.
Well, unfortunately, we're not able to get that replay for you, but what we can do is give you interviews, and those are going to come up after the break. We're going to take a sharp one. Don't go far. We'll give you the entire finishing order interviews before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the AOR Formula Renault 2.0 Season 11 Championship Round 6 from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. You saw the feature earlier, and the sprint race was just in the books. Let's give you the finishing order right now. My fellow commentator, Stefan Slocker, called it. He said that the double's going to happen. We don't see it hardly ever. Gio Cortese goes ahead and wins the feature and wins the sprint as well, although he needed a little help from Charlie Summers, who unfortunately, as we took the replay, looked at it during the break, he did look like Charlie Summers did hit one of those little mystery hand grenades there that cost him the spin. He did a 20 laps perfect on the 21st time around and caught him. Josh Ladd starts from eighth, finishes third. Alan Tessier is in fourth. Renee Osterkamp, 15 to 5th. The back half of your top 10, Luca Verani, Christopher Rigby, nice run from him, Evan Emre, Kerry Nolden, and Alistair Hay. Joe?
Connor Ryan from 29th to 11th himself, with Luke Barton finishing in 12th position, with Matty Cipolla behind him 13th. Could have had a lot more than that, unfortunately. David Santana started in second. Well, he's going to have to settle for 14th. Lubomir Morris as well, not the results we're used to seeing from him. Back down in 15th. Leonard Sherry in 16th, and Tom Van Hoyman in 17th. Now we start to get into some DNFs. Tim Matzke in 18th, Scott Newton in 19th, and David Boudelaar in 20th.
Sorry, Dove. Oh, go ahead, Stefan. You got it.
No problem. Well, Sarah Dove, Blackjack, Normally an awesome position to have, but this time no can do. 21st, DNF obviously. Stefan Herrmann 22nd, Phil Reed 23rd, Giovanni Salito 24th, Daniel Morris 25th, Yuri Moshak 26th. And I think those are already the guys who didn't even complete a single lap. Stuart Mill 27th, Alexei Sirotkin 28th, and last but not least, Thomas Edwards in 29th.
Okay, that's going to do it for the running down of the grid. Now we'll go to interviews right now, and I have the opportunity to talk to Luca Verani. We talked to him during our break. Luca, my goodness, you had fun.
Hello again. I hope it was good to watch. It certainly was fun for me.
Boy, you were putting on quite a defense there. They were coming at you from all angles.
Well, after the contact with Alain, I think he actually apologized after the race, so that's fine. I decided that there was no need for me to play nice, so I could have well defend.
You had to know when you were in second up there racing all by yourself that was going to be short-lived, that they were going to be catching you pretty soon.
Actually, that was a mistake by me. In the first few laps, I was driving to catch the guys up front, and I was driving pretty well, relatively fast and concentrated. Then, after David went out, I just started to concentrate on Ivan behind me and just administering the advantage, and I slowed down for really no reason, so that allowed everybody to catch up.
Well, it was fun. It was fun to watch your race. You had a good feature and a better sprint. Congratulations on a good result today.
Did you catch the end, guys?
Yeah, Osterkamp got you by just a few seconds.
Yeah, I finished the fuel two corners from the end, so that was another mistake for me.
It was a good show. Congratulations. Great to have you in the series. We'll see you down the road.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Luca Verani. He should have a good point stage, Joe.
Yeah, he definitely should. A driver who should be proud, though, of his climb is Connor Ryan. Managed to get himself from tail end, the very back of the field, all the way to 11th. And Connor, I mean, how do you feel about that, having had to start all the way around White's corner there?
It was pretty good. Just kind of glad I avoided all the carnage. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, to be fair. So yeah, it all went pretty smoothly tonight.
And avoided it in more way than one. There in the sprint race, you did have a moment where you spun out of turn one, but somehow kept it off of the wall. Did you think it was all going to end there when you started to lose the car?
Yeah, I did think I was going to hit the wall, so that was very lucky. I somehow shifted it into neutral for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, I managed to keep it off the wall, which was lucky.
So we did notice that you didn't take a qualifying lap in the first race. Was that your personal choice, or were you experiencing a penalty from the stewards?
It was my personal choice. I just wanted to stay out of trouble, and obviously it's my first round this season, and I haven't really drove the car too much, so I wanted to stay at the back and see what I could do and have some fun.
So when we come back for round 7, we're going over to Italy for another track that's known for being a little bit tough to pass there at Imola. Does that change your approach there, or do you, since it worked here, do you think it could work there, just starting at the back and climbing forward?
No, I think it will be slightly different. I think if I did race, I would definitely qualify at Imola. Obviously, I raced there last season and I got my best ever result in AOR. So yeah, it's definitely a good track for me. So.
All right. Well, congratulations on an 11th in the sprint. That'll net you a few points here, and can't wait to see you in a week's time.
Thank you, guys.
Bill?
Okay, and now we're going to let Stefan go ahead and talk to Tom Van Hooyman.
Yes, Tom, welcome on into the booth. Starting in 17th, getting up to 12th, and then unfortunately lap 17 happened for you. Talk us through what you think happened there from your perspective.
You mean the crash at lap 17?
Yes.
Matti, I think it was Matti, got a damaged car. He was in a pile up with Luke and more people like Alistair, and he got a damaged car, and I wanted to overtake him on the left, but he blocked that, so I turned out to the right. And it was the normal line I was taking, as always, in the first corner, but I don't know why the car just tail braked out. And yeah, it was off in the crash. I could not do anything, but just hit the wall. So that was really unfortunate, because I think I got top 10 easily, because Alistair was damaged as well, and with Leonard getting DNF'd, I think at the last lap or something. So yeah, I think I got P10 in the box, but yeah, I crashed. So that's it.
Yeah, with all the damaged cars ahead of you, you would have had a good chance there at finishing at least in the top 10. But keeping now Mosport in the mind with so many fast corners, we're going over to the Italian chicane galore named Imola. How do you feel going forward into the next round at Imola?
Yeah, Imola is a quite good track for me. I've raced up a lot before in the GT3, so I know the track. But with the Formula Renault, it's of course different. But last season I got pole position in the sprint race, but my VR didn't load it in time, so I needed to start out of the pits. But the point was, I was getting more confident and confident as I was angry at myself, angry at my equipment. So I was driving like a madman. I was catching everyone, and I was like, maybe back in the top, nearly the top 10 or something, and I crashed out. So that was unfortunate. But the point is, I can be really faster. So I'm really excited for Imola. Yeah.
Well then, Tom, then go ahead and try again what you did last season at Imola, but just without that wreck, okay?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, at the first lap of the sprint race, I got caught up again. I was going for the wall. I was like, oh no, not again. You're getting sick of that if you're seeing the wall too many times. But I kept it out of the wall. I don't know how, and I survived every car that was passing by. I don't know if you guys catch that, but I was like, all right, get back. Like in the future race, I was like getting tangled up at the hairpin, so with a broken front wing. So I was quite happy with P12 at the end. I was having good consistent pace. So overall, I'm quite happy. So up to Imola.
Well, once again, thank you very much, Tom, for joining us here in the booth. And I believe that is sadly all we have time for today.
That's right. Good job. A nice job good interview there from Tom Van Hoyman. I'd like to thank everybody at GSRC. Would like to thank all the people from the let's get to the right part of the script, from Apex Online Racing for organizing the Formula Renault 2.0 League, and for all the members who support the broadcast. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen now that we use on the broadcast that streams cyberspace into your place. The original music comes courtesy of Eric Eckham and June Milan. See the screen to how to contact each of them. Formula Renault Season 11 Championship returns in 1 week. Round 7, another doubleheader event from the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari. So let's go over to Italy and have some fun. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, visit globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check us out on social media, Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to the YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well, so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Final behalf on the crew, Joe, Sean, Dougie, and Stefan, I'd like to thank all of you for watching as Gio Cortese does the double. In his honor, I'm going to put some extra toppings on my Friday pizza. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.